I'm getting on the first boat out of this accursed province.
What has you so afraid?
It was a cabin somewhere on the north bank of the White, near Riverwood. A kind old lady was living there. Or so I thought. She let me stay the night, but told me not to go into the cellar. Naturally, I got curious.
What did you find in the cellar?
There was all sorts of oddities in there. I think she was a witch or a necromancer or something. In any case, I got out of that cellar and never stopped running.
Why escape? There are other means to survival.
I know. I considered going to a face sculptor, but she refused to work with me. You can try her if you want. She lives in some hole in the ground over in Markarth.
Why are you leaving Solitude?
I don't know about you, but I've got to get as far away from Skyrim as possible.
Okay.
Safe journeys.
You know, there's another face sculptor just over in Riften.
Yes.
Alright, well, that's 2 quests. I wasn't expecting 2 right off the bat. Let's investigate
Hello,
Anise's
I'm Gisley,
cabin
but
cellar.
you can just call me Erica's sister.
Hey, Anise. How are you?
I'm just a poor old woman, dear. No need to trouble yourself with me.
And trouble you I won't. Don't look over here. Whatever you do, just don't come in here. Okay? See, nice and easy. Nice and easy. The Paper Mirror, Volume 1. By Anonymous. The hero was curious. It was not an uncommon affliction for people his age, but for George Zarkady, it was almost a sickness, accurate. It was the reason he stole into the witch's cabin, and the reason he was reading this book now. For what were books but another kind of door, and to open them was to open a world of possibilities. In Skyrim, George Zarkady had opened many doors like this one, and they all made the same promise. Bind it with tales of conspiracy, tragedy, valor, sacrifice, and sometimes even love. The more doors you opened, the further you descended, losing yourself in every chamber, every corner of every room. But alas, behind this door he found neither knights nor sorcery, nobles nor thieves. There were no clashes between light and dark, a sword and shield, earth and sky. All he found was an empty room, save for a single object placed in the center. A mirror. This is not to say that it was an ordinary mirror. The surface was fluid, almost as if it were about to spill out of its thick brass frame. If it did move, it moved slowly, yet it could hardly be called calm. It was thick, cold, and most of all, murky. Now the wise adventurer might turn away from such an ominous thing, but the curious one can't resist taking a peek. As for what George Zarkady saw, suffice to say, he wasn't entirely sure. However, weeks later, long after he closed the door and continued on his adventures, George Zarkady couldn't help but feel a hint of recognition when he walked into the Windpeak Inn and approached the stranger by the wall. "What are you looking at?" the man scowled. George Zarkady tried his best not to smile. Somehow, he already knew the man's name, his occupation, and why he was standing there. In short, George Zarkady knew exactly what he was looking at. What he didn't know was how. "Your name's Theron, I take it," he said. "I'm here about the job."
Oh yeah? You're a bit scrawnier than the way Argus described you. But I'll be your weakling's uncle the day he tells it true. I suppose the snowback didn't bother to tell you what the job's about, either. Don't worry, it ain't a long story. Follow me.
You know anything about a book? There was no mirror in that basement, by the way. I'm still looking for that mirror. I want to see the mirror. It sounds really, really cool.
That's better. Gotta love that fresh winter air. Now, about the job. I doubt Argus told you this, but I used to be a bandit. Had a crew that numbered 24 not a month ago. We were making good coin, raiding caravans and the occasional mine, until one of them decides he wants a bigger slice of the pie. My slice. Don't know how we convinced the others, but about 6 of them made rounds around the camp, cutting throats. All my men dead as dog meat. Wolves outside must have smelled it too, because they started howling. It was them beasts that gave me enough time to figure out what was going on and slip out the back way. Funny part is, I'd been nagging the boys to kill those things for weeks.
You managed to escape with your life, and now you want to go on a suicide mission.
Suicide mission. Argus told me you were good, the best. But I suppose his word ain't worth the bucket I piss in. Don't worry, it ain't just us. I've got a couple more stops to make. You head on over to Redoran's retreat, but don't go in until I get there.
I've always been saying Redoran. You know, like House Redoran. Isn't that right? I sure thought it was at least. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I need to go to a face sculptor. Oh, never mind. Turns out when you use windswept thing, you gotta redo your face. Because all of my hair either disappeared or is very low poly right now. You know what? First things first, face sculptor. Not the Markarth one, let's go to the Riften one. And then we'll go to Redoran's retreat. So here's the confusing thing. I couldn't find anything online about why this is happening. I couldn't find any fix to this, but no browser showing up. The hair continues to just look very, very low poly and low detail, specifically for me. And facial hair, only some facial hair patterns work, and even they look like they have some clipping issues. So I am not sure what is going on there. It almost looks like my character's face is at a lower resolution than other characters. If you know what causes this, just, I guess, let me know in the comments below. And if we can fix this, then great. If not, then I guess after... I guess after we cover interesting NPCs, I'll just uninstall Windswept and find something else to use. That's my best bet right now. I mean, hey, good thing it's just Skyrim, right? And I don't actually need to look at my face very often at all. Super unsettling, though. Super, super unsettling. I look like some sort of weird Ken doll, almost. Other faces look good. Other faces look fine. It's just my face. And I don't have any body mods on. I don't have any body or character mods on because I know that affects Windswept. I know that affects WICO. You guys ready?
Good. You're all here. The plan's simple. We go in and kill everything on 2 legs. Except for the chief. I'll have him crawling on all 4s. Any questions?
Yeah, boss, I got a question. What if they have dogs? Wouldn't they be on 4 legs instead of 2? Would you want us to spare them, seeing as they ain't but stupid mutts?
I'm confused as well. You say, kill everything on 2 legs, but don't that include us?
You did not get the smartest guards.
You idiots! Just kill everything in the cave, except the 4 of us. Got it?
And you were worried about me not being the brightest. You were worried about me not being the best guard. Damn. Let that sink in, Theron. You know what? Now I actually have more incentive to wear a helmet. I never wear helmets in Skyrim just so that I can look at my character. But now I want to wear a helmet. Now I want to wear one just to hide my terrifying face. This is what I get for trying to install mods to make characters look better. The one time I really try to do it, this is what happens. Just my luck, right?
Now you're mine.
So don't kill the bandit chief. Hi there. I will kill all the others. Now Theron, he is all yours. Theron? Theron. I'll hold him still for you, but you're not even in here. Yeah, I'm increasing my block. Like he's barely making a dent in my stamina, truth be told. Listen, I could do this all day, dude. I can do this all damn day. Almost there. This is some tag teaming right here. Almost. Almost. Yeah, there you go. Volume 3. Wait, did I miss Volume 2? Oh, shit. Well, I don't see anything about a Volume 2, and we would have been told to go find Volume 2, if anything, right? So, let's pick up here, and maybe even the paper mirror will be like, haha, fooled you, there's no number 2. Theron looked at the assortment of bedrolls, dressers, and barrels scattered around the living quarters. The place was a mess, but not in the way he remembered. The bedrolls were facing the wrong way. The meat had been swapped out for ale. It was a bandit lair, all right, the same as the others, but entirely different. Talos's beard, I hardly recognized the place. Is that a sodding book on the table, he said, returning to the thing he did recognize. Weapon racks, purses full of gold, and a few trophies from back when the crew was whole. Every one of these things has a story, he said, beaming like a proud father whose children had just come home. Take this pendant, for example. Got it off a carriage moving a noble's family to solitude.
It was locked in a safe, you see, and try as we might, nobody could crack it. This noble, he tried to bargain with me, saying he'd open the safe if I spared his blushing bride. So I said, sure, a deal's a deal. Open the safe and I won't lay a hand on your girl. Of course, never said anything about my men.
There was something about the way Leon chortled that bothered George Zarkady. It was a bestial laugh, the kind of foul grunt that makes you forget he was once a man. It was the same laugh that haunted the writer's dreams. Even now, alone at his table in Castle Dower Dungeon, it crawled over his bones, reminding him of that horrible night. It was a laugh that shrunk his very soul. Anyways, the funny part is that I couldn't pawn it, Theron continued, with the bloody inscription on the back.
To my darling Cassandra. I couldn't have just married a girl named Helga.
For Theron, there was a point to the story. It was Argus who told him the pendant couldn't be fenced, and it was Argus who sent him a letter the day before. The sellsword who he had promised Theron would not be coming. The Nord failed to come through once more. The question was, who was the imposter that claimed otherwise? Theron approached the stranger, his hand shadowing his sword and hilt. Of course I blame Argus.
If he was half the fence he claimed to be, he could sell the thing for twice what it was worth. Not that I need to tell you.
Theron's lips twisted into a rictus. His blood was still simmering from having now killed Javid, and now there was another traitor who needed to be dealt with.
Where did you say you two met, anyway?
I didn't say.
No, you didn't. Funny story. On my way to recruit the others, I got a letter from Argus saying his sellsword couldn't take the job. I don't know who sent you, but either way, you can't be trusted. Now, you're going to die.
Oh, and his guards hate me too. It's okay, one of them has a helmet. It works out for me, I can use the helmet. Just to hide my terrifying face. Except frankly, I want more of a closed helmet. To really, really hide my terrifying face. We'll start with the iron helmet, and we'll work our way up. Oh, maybe there's one in here? Oh, a treasure map. That's okay, but not what I'm looking for. It's just Yeah, it doesn't really hide my face too much. You gotta work on that later. Alright, time to find Volume 4. I want to find Volume 2. I mean, I lived Volume 2, but still. There was nothing in between Volumes 1 and 3, though. There really wasn't anything between those volumes. It jumped from meeting Theron to killing Javid. That's the whole story right there. We didn't really have anything in between. Now, where is Volume 4? In Castle Dower Dungeon. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. See, that was going to be my next bet, because it did say, oh, the writer of this book sits in the Castle Dower Dungeon. Officer?
They say Ulfric Stormcloak murdered the High King with his voice.
Executioner?
Shouted him apart.
The Paper Mirror, Volume 4. The writer stared at the final page, the ink dripping from the quill. The fire from the hearth crackled behind him. Further down the dungeon, the guard made his nightly rounds, his boots rapping against the smooth stone. All around him, time moved, but his hand stood still, unable to place the period at the end of it. For the first time, the surface of the mirror laid serene. In the past, every sentence would swell into a towering wave, guiding the protagonist. Now, not even the most violent prose could produce a ripple. The writer should have been relieved. Theron was dead, and he died by the writer's hand. The bastard would never again see the light of day. But neither would Cassandra. The writer lay his dagger down on the table, the edge brimming with fire. Beside it, the quill lay languidly in the inkwell, promising a storybook end. Would the conclusion come with the stroke of a pen, or a slit of the wrist? The writer could only shake his head. He had little trouble fashioning the endings of the other characters, yet he struggled mightily to write his own. One last time, his hand reached forward, when his thoughts turned not to Cassandra, but to the protagonist of the story. It was an old writer's habit to think of the beginning when he was so close to the end. Perhaps he thought there was another choice, beyond the one the mirror presented, the same one the writer proposed to George Zarkady as the wiser course of action when he entered that dim cellar so many moons ago. Perhaps he could simply turn away. Quick note, I closed my game, uninstalled Windswept, reinstalled Windswept, and boom, hair is back, hair is better. Feels good. I can keep it installed now. I'm happy, and I don't have to hide my face either. Alright. Let's continue our tales. Hello? Oh. Hello. Am I interrupting something here, ma'am? Hi. How are you? Wait, that's not the same Breton from before, is it? Oh, I sure hope it's not. Oh, I hope it's not.
Yours is quite handsome. You should cherish it. A mortal has but one, although he wears many. Brave or bare, pale or plain, little is said, but in time all is written, in forests of grey or in barren canyons of earth. And when the night draws its curtains on twin suns, all that is left is nothing. All that was is hollow. Tell me, traveler, of what do I speak?
You speak of one's countenance, their face. Huh, I wasn't paying attention to a word you said. Can you repeat the question? I was distracted by you boring me. The answer is a cloak. A mortal wears many, and it often covers the dead.
No. What I speak of is a mask, but it is no piece of clothing. I was referring to the face.
Damn it.
For sculpting it is my profession, my trade.
I liked my answer.
For that reason I followed the hollow-faced men of Noho Togra to the ends of Temrail and back again. For that purpose I sojourned with the witches of Devil Rock, to know the ancient magic that can transform the mortal body and wake the dead. Yet, I digress, for what you require first is a name. I am Betrayal, a sculptor of the dead.
Oh, this is your barrow! You're a long way from home, traveler.
True, although I hail not from Hammerfell, but the grazelands of Morrowind. Still, I could not be farther from my native land, as well as my adopted one.
And how much time did you spend outside of Morrowind?
I spent 40 years in the service of the Hollow Faces, learning the bending of bone and the dance of flesh. I spent another decade studying under the ancient covens of Devil Rock, to study the art of bestial transformation.
And what made you decide to come back?
When I finished my training, it occurred to me that those who ply their trade in deceit could use my services, so I decided to return to Morrowind. Yet the Morrick tongue is no more, and the guilds are as brittle as the undead.
Is she supposed to be Dunmer? Because if she is, then her skin color is very, very off. Who are the hollow-faced men?
Skin changers, flesh dancers, the tribe of the wandering faces. The hollow-faced men of Nohotogra go by many names. Like the chirurgeons of Cloudrest and the slave sculptors of Aliad lore, they are masters of the art of molding flesh.
You make it sound romantic, but it's still blasphemous witchcraft. Given their skill set, I can't imagine such men were easy to find.
Yes, as their existence is as much folklore as their abilities. I trekked to Hammerfell, unsure if my steps were made in vain.
And how did you ultimately find the hollow-faced men?
For 7 days and 7 nights, I marched across the dunes of Alikir. I collapsed on a nameless dune, surrendering to the heat and the vultures that loomed overhead. Yet, as the birds descended, their faces lost all expression, their eyes as hollow as midnight. As it turns out, they were not vultures, but men, nomads, crossing the desert. I pleaded for water first, and for directions second. The 3 nomads obliged, and led the way. I had no choice but to follow.
Where did the nomads lead you?
The next morning I woke up and was startled to find myself surrounded by 3 new guides, each bearing no similarity to the last. I insisted no, demanded they tell me what had happened to the others. They said nothing, and once more bade me to follow. So it went as we traveled across the coastal kingdoms, through sandstorms and mountains and the snake pit of Balhar.
Oh, where'd you go?
Every night I bade my guides farewell, for every morning I knew another set would take their place.
How long did this go on for?
For almost a full season. Finally, the guides led me back to familiar sands, and we followed the stars to the nearest settlement. When we reached the oasis, I thanked the last of my guides, and was about to set off when I realized for the first time I recognized their faces. Sullen eyes, thin lips, and hooked noses. They looked almost like vultures. Then I knew. The guides had never changed. Only their faces.
What happened after you realized who the guides were?
The guide saw my expression and nodded. I asked for his name, and if he would take me on as his disciple. "You may follow," he said, "but a name I cannot give. For to name a hollow-faced man is to walk the Alikir, and name the grains of sand."
Why sell your service to assassins?
Isn't it obvious? How can I be a sculptor of the dead without dead people to sculpt?
If you want, I can gather corpses for you. Well, I'm sure you'll find plenty of corpses between here and Markarth.
True, but I do not wish to start all over from scratch. Much of my belongings were stolen from my carriage by a group of bandits. For one, there was a male hip bone widened to resemble a female's, crafted by a body sculptor.
What's so special about this hip bone?
One of my former masters kept it as a souvenir, an oddity one puts on a desk to start a conversation. However, as a young apprentice bored with magic, it became the very catalyst for my life's pursuit. As my skill improved, I gravitated toward the more difficult arts, the more delicate flesh, none more so than the faces of the undead. Yet it all began with that single sculpted hip bone, one given to me as a parting gift when I left for Hammerfell.
Where can I start looking for this bone?
As the bandits unloaded my belongings, I overheard one of them discussing his future plans. Something about setting up camp overlooking a sleeping giant. His words only confused me, but perhaps you will be able to make sense of it.
Sleeping giant? I have a good idea of what he was referring to.
Excellent. I look forward to having my items returned to me. Some are dear to me for sentimental reasons. Others are vital for resuming my practice. And I assure you, if you do this for me, you will be handsomely rewarded.
Yep, Sleeping Giant Inn. Let's head out there, and we can ask her about the rest when we get back.
Safe travels.
I also want to see if other Dunmer are pale, or if she isn't a Dunmer at all. So maybe a little bit more troubleshooting with Windsong. I thought I had everything taken care of. Maybe I don't.
Good day, friend. Keeping well?
I went and checked. Other Dunmer are fine. Their skin is a little bit more clean, I guess you could say, but their skin is, you know, more gray. So maybe she's just very, very, very light in skin tone. Which, I mean, she is a face sculptor. Maybe she can change her skin tone a little bit. So up above Riverwood, right above the Sleeping Giant Inn. Psst. Hey, you. You asleep? Yeah, you're asleep. Hey, wake up.
Do you like bones, friend? I like bones. You're welcome to touch mine.
I don't want to
That's
touch
my
your
collection
bones.
over there. I like to look at them when I sleep. It's like a big puzzle. There's so many types, and they all fit together.
I don't want to touch your bones, Fjord. Oh, what do you like best about bones?
That's a hard question. Bones are hard, and I like bones. I guess that's what I like best about them. They're bones. I killed some bandits the other day. They had such nice bones. And not just inside them.
Yeah? What do you mean, not just inside them?
Well, this one bandit was walking around holding a perfectly good set of hip bones like it was her coin purse. I don't know how she was walking on account of her hips being outside of her body. Must have been a witch.
I've been looking for a hip bone that's been altered a bit.
Hips are my favorite. Shaped like a butterfly, except they aren't made of butter, but bone.
Yes, very astute. You know butterflies aren't made of butter, and I'm not sure they're flies either.
Don't know. I can never get too close to them. I'm afraid of things that don't have bones.
Is that so? When did you start collecting bones?
About 3 years ago. Lost everything to bandits. Should have listened to that traveling carpenter. He was replacing the logs around the village. I almost said yes, until he started trying to sell me on replacing the floorboards. What's an Imperial know about fine Nord craftsmanship? So I told him to peddle his snake oil somewhere else. A month later, bandits raided my home. Came right through the front door.
What happened next?
They robbed me, beat me, left me for dead. I could reach into my stomach and touch my insides. It was real soft, not like bone.
No, no bone.
I slumped to the ground, laying my back on the wood. It was rough to the touch. My hand caught a splinter. I thought, even in my final moments, the gods still saw fit to mock me. But when I turned to look at my hand, I saw something rocking gently under the bed. It was an elf potion.
Also, I am aware that his face looks a little off, especially the texture on the facial hair, so I might need to just go back into my load order and fool around with some things. But other faces looked fine. Like, during the quest with Theron and everything. Everything was perfectly fine. The Divines saved you. Praise the Divines, for the gods are great. I don't see the correlation. Bone meal has no health properties.
No, I would never grind up my bones. Bones are best when they're bones, not meal. You see, I survived those bandits, but there were more of them. Villages weren't safe. Road wasn't safe. I had to move around, live in caves. But one day I found a cave that was warm, had clean beds, stocks of food. I couldn't believe my luck. Too tired to think it was the bad kind. I slept better than I had in years. Would have slept right through my own death when the bandits came home. That is, if not for the rattle by the entrance. Heard it loud and clear. Bones. Sweet, wonderful bones. I picked up my axe and ambushed the bandits in their own home. But in the end, it was the bones that saved me.
I need that hip bone, okay?
Hips are my favorite. Shaped like a butterfly, except they aren't made of butter, but bone.
Yes. Would you be willing to sell me some of the hip bones?
Oh no, you can't put a price on bones. That's just wrong.
That's where you draw the line. That is where you draw the line.
I hoped you would ask me about my bones. I have all kinds, orc spines, elf legs, and little chicken bones you can wear around your neck. The hands are made from a khajiit, I think. A lot of sand in the joints. The fingers are fun to look at, so many little bones. I also have a nice set of hip bones with me too, but it's not part of the collection, because they're confusing.
Exactly, give me
By
them.
Hizmir's beard, I can't tell whether they belong to a man or a woman. It's very important I know what type of bone I'm handling.
Just... do you mind if I play with your bones? That's because it's not real bone. It's a fake.
I hadn't considered that. Would explain the peculiar shape. Well, I don't want anything to do with a fake set of bones. Here, you take it.
Oh, phew. Alright.
Alright then.
Okay, I'll see you. Have fun with your bone collection. Don't let me stop you.
What is it?
I've retrieved your hip bone. I hear it's connected to the leg bone.
Marvelous. And with minimal damage, I see. Although these stains are rather curious.
You don't want to know.
In any case, you have my thanks. The item was incredibly dear to me, as are you for returning it. As such, you have certainly earned your reward. I must say it is most handsome, but it was not always so. This orc skull has been carved to resemble a human. It is by far one of my proudest achievements as a sculptor.
How did you craft it?
I filed off the tusks and contracted the jaw using techniques practiced by the ancient Yokudans for binding feet. It was a passing fancy of mine to sculpt orcs into humans before I found my true calling as a sculptor of the undead. When my name is known throughout Tamriel, this skull may be considered a priceless historical artifact, a symbol of a road almost taken.
Well, you can have your orcs, or you can have your hip bone, and I'll take this orc skull. This is not what I expected when you said my reward would be handsome.
What did you expect? A mirror? No, that would be irony. But what I have given you is indeed handsome in appearance as well as in value. So do not fret. I am sure Skyrim is home to at least one shopkeeper who is discerning enough to recognize its worth.
Alright. I'll talk to you later, I guess.
Safe travels.
I know you have more conversations for us, but maybe we'll see you another time. Maybe we'll speak again later. Yeah, no, just a human skull. Look at that. Just a human skull. Alright, there you go. Not much of a reward, but you don't exactly have a whole lot. You live here, you don't have a home. You don't have a house. So I'll take what I can get, I guess.